This is lesson 3.1, part 1, chapter 3, Get Ready. At the beginning of every chapter, there's some problems like this that represent some skills that you're going to need during this chapter. If you want to go ahead and do the problems, and then, so go ahead and pause the video right now, and I'll show you how to solve them in a little bit. Throughout the video, you can pause anytime you want, do the problems, then come back and check your answers. All right. Okay, so -3 is greater than -5. 7 is equal to 14/2. -8 is greater than -8.4. And -5.2 is less than 2.5. The absolute value, you might remember, is defined as the distance from 0 on a number line. So if we simplify this expression, we get 5 plus 4 minus 6 is -2, but the absolute value of -2 is +2, which is 7. 30 minus 28 is 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. Minus 6 is -4. -7 plus 2 is -5. The absolute value of -5 is 5. Minus 4 is 1. Solving one-step equations. We're going to use the properties of equality to solve these equations. For this equation, we're going to add 4 to both sides, so we get x equals 2. In this equation, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, so we get b equals 3. For this equation, we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of -3/4, which is -4/3. And when we do that, we get -4/3 times -3/4 is 1y. And over here we have 9 divided by 3, which is 3. And 3 times -4 is -12. Here we're going to multiply both sides by 12. And when we do that, 12 divided by 12 is 1m, and 2.7 times 12 is 32.4. For number 12, we're going to add 8 to both sides. So we get x equals 23. For 13, we're going to we're going to add 7 to both sides. So we get n equals 29.5. For number 14, we are going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is -7/12. And when we do that, -7/12 times -12/7 is 1z. And let's see, we can do 48 divided by 12 here. That's 4, and 4 times -7 is -28. And on the last one, we're going to multiply both sides by 4/5. And when we do that, we get 4/5 times 5/4 equals 1y. And here we can do -15 divided by 5. That's -3 times 4 is -12. Solving two-step equations. All right, for number 16, I think we're going to add 5 to both sides. And then we get b divided by 4 is equal to 12. Multiply both sides by 4. And we get b equals 40. Number 17, if we subtract 4 from both sides, we get 4.2m equals 21. Divide both sides by 4.2, and we get m equals 5. On number 18, we can subtract 6 from both sides, and then we get negative 18 equals 3/4 x. Then we can multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 4/3. And we get negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6. So we get negative 24 equals 3/4 times 4/3 is equal to 1x. Number 19. I think we'll add 4 to both sides. And then we get 10 is equal to the opposite of z. The opposite of z is the same as negative 1 times z, so I can divide both sides by negative 1, and I get negative 10 is equal to z. On number 20, I'll subtract 2.3 from both sides, so I get 4m is equal to 7.4. Divide both sides by 4, and I get m is equal to 1.85. On number 21, we can start by adding 7 to both sides. Then we get 5/8 t is equal to negative 15. Now I can multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is 8/5. And when I do that, I get 1t is equal to negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. For number 22, I'm going to start by subtracting 1.3 from both sides. Then I get negative 6 is equal to 3y. Dividing both sides by 3 gives me negative 2 is equal to y. Adding 3.7 to both sides on number 23 gives me 15.9 is equal to 5.3x. Dividing both sides by 5.3 leaves me with x equal to 5. And number 24, some of you may have noticed a mistake on the last one. X is actually equal to 3. All right, one thing I'm doing is checking my answers, but as always, if it was important that you get the answer right, like on the test, you might want to put your solutions back into the equation for the variable and make sure they are true. Number 24, I'm going to start by using the definition of subtraction. Change that to adding a negative. Then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That leaves me with negative 1/3 x is equal to negative 20. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is negative 3. And negative 3 times negative 1/3 is 1x. And negative 20 times negative 3 is negative 60. All right, now we're going to solve multi-step equations. Number 25, first thing I'm going to do is simplify. I'm going to combine like terms, so I get 10t plus 7 is equal to negative 33. Then I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and that leaves me with 10t equals negative 40. And I'm going to divide both sides by 10, and that leaves me with t equals negative 4. For number 26, I'm going to start by subtracting 2a from both sides. That eliminates the a from the left side. And that leaves me with the equation 5 equals 7a minus 16. Then I can add 16 to both sides, and that gives me 21 is equal to 7 times A. Then I can divide both sides by 7, and I get A is equal to 3. On number 27, I'm going to start by subtracting 1/3 from both sides. That gives me the equation 4/6y is equal to 1/3. Multiplying both sides by the reciprocal, 6/4, gives me 1y equals, let's see, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2/4 is the same as 1/2. So y is equal to 1/2. Number 28, I'm going to start by using the distributive property. And I get 6y minus 12 is equal to 8 minus 2y. Adding 2y to both sides leaves me with 8y minus 12 is equal to 8. Adding 12 to both sides gives me 8 times y is equal to 20. And dividing both sides by 8 gives me y is equal to 2.5. Number 29, again, I'm going to use the distributive property. If I multiply this equation out, I get 3 times n minus 3 times 2, which is 6, is equal to 10.4. And now I can simplify. N plus 3n is the same as 4n, combining like terms. Now I can add 6 to both sides, so I get 4 times n is equal to 16.4. Dividing both sides by 4 leaves me with n equals 4.1. This last equation, I can start by subtracting 1/3 w from both sides. That leaves me with the equation 3 is equal to 1/3 w minus 5. Adding 5 to both sides gives me 8 is equal to 1/3 w. Multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3, gives me w is equal to 24. Looking ahead, you make a compound word such as houseboat by joining two words together. Why do you think -4 is less than x is less than 7 is called a compound inequality? There's actually two inequalities put together to make one inequality. And the two inequalities for number 31 are x is greater than -4 and x is less than 7. The intersection of two roads is the place where roads cross. How would you define intersection of two groups of objects? The intersection of two groups of objects are the objects common to both sets. That concludes this video. You still have to watch one more video for the rest of lesson 3.1.